what were some of the successes and failures that you experienced working with kids in some of these conditions?
The biggest thing with children is, and it was an important part of our practice, is to make sure that there was a team approach,
Mm-hmm.
and still is. So I really want to make sure that the child's neurologist, the pediatrician, the psychiatrist is on board when they're
Yeah.
working with an integrative physician such as myself. So having that conversation about cannabis, having that conversation with both parents, caregivers, guardians of the room, and the specialists, so that they know that we're all a team here, and we're not, trying to say, get off all your medication.
Right.
That's not the point when they come see someone like me. It's really an integrative. It's the best of both worlds. So that is the number one thing. And then working closely with parents, because sometimes the spouses are at odds.
Right. Yeah.
Mom
Sure.
might say, I'm full on supporting CBD and cannabis. And dad or their partner will say, I'm against it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what I want for my child.
Yeah.
So again, communication, education, expectations is key.
And when you ran into those sort of conflicts where you might have parents that disagree with one another, or maybe even other physicians involved in the child's care, what were some of the key sort of like pieces of education that would help sort of calm those fears a bit?
For my colleagues, so for other MDs, the biggest thing is sending them, research articles, talking to them about patient cases. And sometimes I'll go and do grand rounds, do a noon conference, a journal club, and talk to colleagues on their level,
Yeah.
what's happening on the receptor level, things like that. And sometimes they go from, sort of folding their arms and their eyebrows are just furrowed and they're really angry to like, they relax their face a little bit and say, okay, this is not voodoo medicine.
Right.
There's actually some science behind it. And also to reassure them that I'm working with the parents. So they're not off getting something off, from who knows where.
Right.
There is some monitoring, there's charting.
Yeah.
So I'm charting everything and documenting everything. The parents that I work with are keeping journals. So we know how it affects IEP, or how it affects, what is the child's teacher saying, or the speech therapist, or OT or PT. So we document everything and we monitor them very closely. There's a lot of follow-ups in the beginning, because I want to make sure that the parents are feeling supported, that they're doing it right, titration of dosing, making sure there's feedback from all the ancillary health practitioners as well.
Yeah. And what were the main modes of administration that most of these kids would use? Were they using like tinctures or raw oil capsules?
In the beginning, it was just tinctures. In the beginning, the parents were, and this is, we're talking more than 10 years ago, they're making their own. They're growing their own, a few plants of their own. So in California, parents were allowed to grow their own cannabis. That was part of the medical cannabis legalization. And they would steep their own. Sometimes smoothies, they make teas out of it. Sometimes they would put it in ice cubes, and just put it in their juice, in the kids' juice. So parents got creative, and parents are very resourceful.
Yeah,
You're a dad.
Yep.
I'm a mom. Yep. So we would do anything for our children, and the forums and the support, the community was just astounding. Parents found each other and shared stories and talked about anecdotally what worked and what didn't work. Shared, sort of this like trusted integrative practitioner list, things like that. And we all put our heads together and figured out and tried to learn from each other. Parents, patients teach me just as much as I teach them.
Yeah.